Welcome back to the official Atari Games podcast. This is Jason here, and this one is long in the making, and I'm very excited about it. I got two returning guests, one new guest. We'll save him for last. We're going to go alphabetical by first name. Welcome back to the show. Dan Amrich, content editor at Digital Eclipse. Welcome back, Dan.
Hello,
If you're
thank you.
watching
This
the
is my
video-
idle animation.
Yeah, okay. You're going to do that for the whole podcast, right? Nope, he stopped. Nope, now he's doing something else. Different idle animation. Hey, Dan, throw a high kick.
There. He did three of them right there.
Oh, he's doing. Oh my god! Wow, look at that.
He kicks
That
high.
was pretty good. You've been hanging out with Sonya Blade a bit.
I have.
Also, back on the podcast, Stephen Frost, head of production at Digital Eclipse. Welcome back, Frosty. How's it going?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Glad to be back and chatting about this little project that we've been working on for a little while.
Just a little project.
Yeah. Little
Yeah.
project.
Small little project, little compilation of indie games. And his debut on the podcast, Steven Johnson, producer on Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Welcome,
Hi.
Steven.
I've been working on a really big game for the last year. So,
Oh, yeah? What is it?
I think we'll get into it, but I don't want to spoil the surprise. So,
I'm pretty sure I just did.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection is out now.
Woo!
We are actually recording this on release day, so everybody's super chill and cool and not
Right.
worried about anything.
And
that's
not
happening.
tired at all.
No,
Certainly no other windows open with important messages being sent to me.
Yeah,
Why would
complete
that be?
undivided attention just to do this and hang out, play this game. But we'll get into that later. We're going to talk all about it. I'm excited to talk about it. There's so much to talk about. And yeah, before we get into that, let me just get the housekeeping out of the way. Atari Podcast, you're listening to it. Maybe you like it. Maybe you're back. Maybe it's your first time. If you like it and it's your first time, how about a subscription? Subscribe to it on your favorite podcast service of choice. Give us a review, say nice things or say bad things. 5 stars is the important bit, even if you say the bad things. And the Atari Discord. Join it, the Atari Club. Links are always in the description below. And with that, I think we rapidly got through that. So I'm going to start jumping into some gameplay here because I want to start talking about this game. What do you guys say?
Let's see those options.
All right.
You got them highlighted. Let's see those beautiful. No, you do whatever you want.
That's true. It is highlighted on options because I needed to settle the resolution and all these other things. All right, now, guys, we're going to talk a lot about this game. And I've really crafted the perfect first question to tell us all about this game. Are you ready for it?
Oh, okay.
All right, here we go. Dan,
Yes.
go.
Go is your question?
That's it.
Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection is
Oh,
a
no.
collection of 23 classic Mortal Kombat games that represent the arcade era and the origins of the Mortal Kombat franchise. We pair those 23 games lovingly emulated as accurately as we possibly can, including some serious rarities like Mortal Kombat 4 Arcade, emulated for the first time commercially, and WaveNet, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 WaveNet, which is a very rare online version of the game from 1997, back when the internet was young. As well as PlayStation games for the first time in a Digital Eclipse collection. We have 3 titles, including the very popular Mortal Kombat trilogy. That is paired with an extensive interactive documentary featuring more than 4 hours of video, a combination of original interviews and segments that we've created specifically for this project, as well as some legacy videos and behind-the-scenes footage that you may never have seen before that chronicle the arcade era from about 1992 to 1997 and a little bit beyond, of how Mortal Kombat came to be the cultural phenomenon it is.
What's impressive about that is that he didn't read that off of anything.
nope.
No.
It's my
How many times you said
superpowers, speaking extemporaneously as if I'm reading a radio announcement.
Also,
Now the
if
school
you're-
closings.
If you're watching on YouTube, you will know that I am awful at this game.
Welcome to the club.
At it.
Dude, the only one of us who's really good is Steven Johnson, and Frosty's quite good, and I am crap in a hat.
Yeah.
I'm just terrible at Mortal Kombat, but I have loved this franchise since it first came out. I remember being in the arcade. I went to a mini golf place when I was in college in 1992, and I saw some 13-year-olds playing this new game, and one of them suddenly did the spine rip. And I'm like, what the hell did I just see? And I've been fascinated ever since that moment. And of course, thought immediately, those kids shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not going to see any fatalities because I don't know any of them.
Hey,
Well,
you should
here's
turn on
where
the move list.
Exactly. We have an
Yeah, you don't need
interactive. We have an interactive move list. But some things to call out here, of course, is the bezel and the CRT filter, which we continue to improve and try to make better over each project in order to try to replicate that wonderful scanline look of the old TVs of old. But also the bezel, which is modeled after the actual arcade cabinet, you can actually see the reflection of the light from the TV itself or the monitor itself onto the sides of the bezel. So this is a new addition that we had for this collection for the first time to try to represent the arcade experience as accurately as possible. But
If you can do a
obviously, if you
TV
don't want,
curved there, you'll see
yes, you
more
can
of
do
it. Yeah.
TV curved as well to be even more accurate.
Oh,
But
here
of
we go.
course,
TV
we're all
curve,
about options. So if you don't like any of that stuff, you can turn off the bezels, you can turn off the filter.
This is blasphemy. This
You
is
you
the
can stretch
blasphemous.
it. This is what makes me cry. Like people
Yeah,
want
yeah.
this.
We'll just play like
People
this.
want
do.
this. But it
Oh.
makes me cry. Fortunately, Mortal Kombat doesn't look horrible stretched because the characters are a bit chunky, at least MK1. But a little piece of my soul does die every time someone puts up a stretched view of any of our games in our collections.
I kind of like the yeah. This curve thing is kind of cool. That's good stuff.
You really get to see the reflection on the sides of the bezels more so, I think, in curved. You can see some of that distortion and sort of the light bleed on the
Yeah,
bezel.
exactly.
It's a really subtle thing, but it's something that I remember Mike was very excited about being able to do it, because anytime that we can try to impart what the original experience was back in the day, not just offer the game and the code and the accurate gameplay experience, but what are the other elements that went into the gameplay experience? So that's the kind of touch that we like to do.
Yeah. So when is the feature going to come out where I can see, where you can get into the webcam and then I can see my face on the reflection of the CRT monitor? The
Maybe
people
that'll be
want to
version
know.
3.
This
Version
is what the
3.0.
people want to know.
I mean, I think Mike would probably be down to try that. Be like,
If everyone
oh
had
wait,
a webcam.
The creepiest Switch 2 feature that we can add.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
Exactly.
Yeah, it could be a Switch 2 exclusive,
Here we
actually.
go.
Yeah,
The
you're right.
technology
Yeah.
is kind of here.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason,
Ah,
how
just
about you
missed
go into that pause menu real quick and
Yep.
go one option down and turn that on.
The on-screen move list.
On-screen
Oh,
move list.
There you go.
There you
So
go.
we added this for people to have an
Sweet.
immediate accessibility as far as the moves, and then when you finish a match and you're in the fatality stage, it actually switches over to what the fatalities are as well.
That's awesome.
Like,
That's really
we know that a lot of things about this game is going to be people reliving a lot of their past, and this is a game where inputs and hidden moves and all these things are stuff that's really difficult to hold on to over the 34 years that this game has been out. And so being able to get you caught up a little bit closer to like what your memory is, get you back into the game as fast as possible, this mode is like great for like, man, how do I do a fatality, like what you're trying to do right now? But like now you know how to do your fatality. You're quickly back in where you were 30 years ago.
Yeah. No, this is huge. This is everything I want to feel like I have some idea of what's going on. And I didn't even get the chance to put in my move. All right, let's get
No,
an
you're
MK1.
1-1.
Oh,
If you
you
win
wanna-
that
all right,
match,
got it.
then
All
you'll
right,
get
fair
to the.
enough.
Don't
I thought
run
I
away
beat
from
him once
Raiden.
already. Yeah.
Yeah, don't second guess yourself. And the moves list is contextual too. So when you flip to the other side of the opponent, the directional
Yes, notice that.
will flip as well. Directions will change. Which is why at one point people were asking, like early
All right,
on.
here you go. Hold pause and
Oh,
double
shit,
tap up.
You can rewind.
I
if
messed
you
up. I know.
You can rewind. You can rewind.
All right.
did.
Rewind. Here
Hold
we go.
the rewind button until you get back to the finish him thing, and then you get another opportunity here.
Oh,
No, too
Back up,
close.
back up,
Too
back
close.
up.
Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up.
All right. We're gonna get this going.
well,
Two to me.
I mean, this is probably a good transition into Fatality Trainer if you're going to show something.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. How do I do that?
Exit out here and then let's get back to the main menu.
All right, let's do it. We're gonna go to the fatality trainer.
I love this as a real-time use case of
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
that you built.
This was the best thing because I went to Evo to help manage that booth, and I know nothing about this game. Like I know it exists. I had the little cheat sheet. Who wrote the cheat sheet, by the way, that said what are the games in it? And I
Oh,
had that. So
that was me, and hopefully my writing wasn't
yeah, it was
contributing to a
awesome.
lot of bad info.
It was awesome. I wish I had that at the rest of the convention. They said, "What's coming in?" I'm like, "Oh, this
Yeah.
is great. It's awesome." I couldn't remember that many games because there's so many, so
Yeah.
many,
That is a very
and the
true thing.
variants as well. All right, so okay, so I choose the stage.
Yeah, you can choose a stage if you want, if
stage.
people want to, or you can just go to fight.
Okay,
There's
just
one button
randomize
fatalities
everything?
available too for those people who just want to like see it.
All right, here.
So
let's
go back to Scorpion because
Yeah.
it's a really good test case.
I'm just gonna stitch this together. We're gonna skip this whole thing. It's gonna look like I nailed it perfectly.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So now you've got
Okay.
a little indicator on the screen that lets you know how far away you should be.
nice.
Look at that, perfectly,
look
perfectly
how-
executed.
It worked. You
How
guys, it
easy
worked.
was
the
that?
the training worked. I
See,
feel it.
and you
We've
do this a few
so now you
times,
can-
and then you memorize the distancing for it, and you're good to go next time.
yeah, we've
You
done
can
something
easily,
here.
repeat that or change characters or, whatever. You just skill and drill the way you want.
Yeah, and like the thing is that Mortal Kombat 1, few fatalities, but man, you start getting into later Mortal Kombats, and there are like 7, 8 different types of finishing moves, and we want to make sure that you have access to those at any given time. I think it is going to be something that people spend a lot of time in as they're learning the game.
Especially the brutalities, because I saw a lot of people practicing
Trying it.
those. Yes, last night actually.
Oh yeah. Let's see here. So if I go,
Oh man, if Jason can do a brutality,
Oh,
that
Well,
would
he'll
we'll
just
be
keep
here all day.
rewinding. He'll just have to keep rewinding until he does it.
where'd I go to the? All right. How do I get to that thing again?
Go into
Offline.
click that, then
Oh,
go
okay,
into
got it.
trilogy. Go
Okay,
back
got
out,
it.
back
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Go to
Okay,
trilogy.
because it's specific for games. Each one of
Yeah.
these has its own thing.
Yes, like all of the
Alright.
arcade games have the fatality trainer. Many of the home console versions do as well, right?
Yeah.
It's really trilogy, and we're looking at what we need to do for other ones, but like it's really contained to the arcade stuff right now.
Oh yeah, because
And
the
then we will
moves are
look
the
at
same for the home version. So we're like,
Yeah.
let's go back to the original and show it there.
All right. Well, choose my destiny. Who am I picking? Whose brutality?
Man,
am I
stick
doing?
with Scorpion, man. Let's keep on theme.
Yeah, stick with
All right.
Scorpion. There you go.
And then obviously need to take out everybody's favorite character, Striker.
Thank you.
Oh no, I thought
People
you were
love
gonna go for
Striker.
Sub-Zero.
That's what I understand. People
Yeah,
love,
that was a
people love
out of
Striker.
the left turn there.
From what I
The
understand,
journey to get
Striker is
there.
look.
Yeah.
We've talked about this. Striker is the coolest character from the '90s of all time. He's got a backwards hat. He's got guns. He's the best.
And he's got a Y in his name. I mean, what more do you need?
So, Jason,
man.
just so you know, if you press it on the left stick, as you see on the bottom of the screen, it will cycle through the different fatalities and change the distance per those fatalities.
okay.
So
Here we
now
are.
brutality,
Oh, man.
you go up there. Now this is where you get to try to memorize the buttons and try to do them in order, or you can rewind, and try to do it. So
Yeah.
this is
gotta
where
go
you have
really
to practice.
fast.
Yeah, you got to practice, right?
What?
You're not doing it
Brutalities
fast
are
enough.
very difficult. It is.
Now
It is.
I've been playing a lot of Ghost of Yote, so the bamboo training. I feel like this is the most advanced version of the bamboo training where you got to hit the. Oh my god, this is ridiculous! How
Yeah.
can you get that fast?
Well, so what you can do as well is if you go back, go into your pause menu right now. Like it's very difficult for sure, but we're not trying to lock anybody out of this. But exit out real
Right.
quick, and then go into additional settings or fatality training options. Sorry,
Okay, here we go.
and then turn on the one button fatalities.
All right, here we go.
So now you go in, and now you have your brutality, which is on your options button, and
what?
So you can see what it's supposed to look like and get the rhythm, but you can't activate the one button during the game, right, Steven?
no, you can. Mikhail LaRouche, one of our engineers, went through a lot of iterations where I don't know if it's in right now, but if it's not in now, it's going to be in by the next patch. But it's like you'll be able to do one bit fatalities in game. So
Yeah, the only tricky one was I think Trilogy because it has its own one, and
Yeah.
MK Trilogy's
We're
one
fighting
button
that one,
fatalities
yeah.
were a little flaky back, as far as the consistency of them working.
So
but the big thing is that you just have to know where the range is, and that's where the training mode still helps you function. Like if you don't want to spend the time learning all the fatalities, memorizing them, whatever your situation may be, with the one still doing the fatality trainer with one button to know which range you have to be at for that still has use in there. So
I see
Oh,
you
it's
are
a
a
really
man
cool
of
feature.
taste.
Yeah, I
What,
was
the
I
Game
was
Gear
honestly
version?
curious about
Yeah.
what the outlines of the Game Gear looked like and what kind of screen options were there as well.
The
Game Gear is one of
SR.
those I don't think a lot of people have played. A Game Boy was certainly like, the dominant handheld at the time, and some people played Game Gear, but we're kind of hoping that people will discover versions of the game that they've just simply never gotten a chance to play, and this is one of those.
Yeah, Game Gear 32X. These are those platforms that most people didn't have access to or never saw in a lot of ways. So here's a chance for them to actually try it out.
Or couldn't afford 15 batteries to play
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
30 minutes. Yeah, that could
Well,
have been what happened as well.
what I'll say is the interesting part about the Game Gear stuff is depending on which region you were, you didn't have access to Super Nintendos or Genesises or arcades, right? Like in South America, the real dominant platform at that time was the Sega Master System,
Right.
which, like, just because of all various things that were going on during that time, there's a large audience that has never played a console version, and then while they were growing up, they never played the arcade version of Mortal Kombat, and their version of this game is the Master System. Game Gear is a port of the Master System. And so this game is actually played by a lot more people than I think anybody really realizes. And like when you show it to people that like grew up in South America or like more remote countries, like this is how they remember Mortal Kombat 1 to be. And I think that's like really important for our product to like sell those memories back to people.
Yeah, that's a good point as far as especially Brazil, which even to this day has a huge Sega fan base from the Tech Toy stuff and still continues to release all-in-one Sega Genesis systems and Mega Drives with built-in games, even each year pretty much.
Damn, look at you.
So wait,
you try to do you
wants
might
that
not be able to do a fatality here. You may not be able to do it.
Is it like really hard? Oh wait, but with the power of one button fatalities.
Oh, I don't know if we have it in here.
I don't believe we do.
I don't think we have it in here.
Are the inputs like harder in here?
It's
You
just
have
a
to do them
refresh.
so slow.
Yeah.
Because the screen refresh rate is so it's like forward, let go, down.
Nailed it.
There you
There you
go.
go.
Oh, good job.
Don't
Good
question
job.
my ability as a gamer. All right, I might not be able to do a brutality, but the funny thing is, actually, you were talking about that. I realized the kind of like the input cadence as I was in that fight, because putting in those moves themselves also, I was like, wait, I did it fast. Oh, right, you can't. That's cool though. I mean, that just speaks to. Oh, whoops, I don't want to do that. No, I do want to do that. I don't want to, this is just kind of what Digital Eclipse does, right? It's like that actual representation of the game as it was, correct? Like, that's why the Game Gear one, no, you're not trying to make it as responsive as the other. You're going to make it as responsive as Game Gear was.
Right. Exactly. And we want to produce that authentic experience. So if you played it back in the day, it feels familiar. And sometimes we always have this discussion of what we do, which is sort of, we try to deliver on people's memories of those products, and maybe sometimes not necessarily the actual product, because as the years go by, your memories shift and turn, and oftentimes you may present or may view it as considerably better than what it was, or the experience was more amazing than what it was. And then you go back and play it a little bit and you're like, oh, this wasn't as good as I thought it was. So our goal is always to deliver on that magical, perfect memory that you have of the product, while being, authentic and accurate to it, so that if you were a hardcore player on a particular platform, you can feel the similarities in how things are running and playing.
Right. Ask me about how I felt the last time I played Mario Sunshine.
Did you replay it again on the...
I played it when it came to
Switch. No.
And I was like, I remember liking this.
Biggest thing about that game,
this is a Mortal Kombat podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I just have to say that in the original game, I couldn't get into that Sunshine because they had the inverted flight controls and you couldn't change them.
Oh.
It always messed me up. But anyway.
Yeah. Turns out turning in that game, it was very difficult. Anyway, back to Mortal Kombat.
It was during Christmas holiday that I got notification that the actual agreement was signed with Warner Brothers. And I remember sitting there and getting the message from Ethan Zubek and just like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening, right? And we've been preparing for this and getting ready for this and thinking about this for a while now. But the fact that it actually kicked in and was something that was real and tangible, I was so super excited. And I quickly went downstairs and started messaging everyone like, this is happening, right? So that was kind of amazing. And then, but obviously, leading up to that, there's a lot of work in relation to what games are going to be in this collection. How are we going to present this? What is the story, right? This is where the editorial side, like Dan and Chris, really get involved. And Dan has been wanting to do and talk about Mortal Kombat for decades, right? And this was his opportunity to finally deliver on that sort of dream. And also in the back of his head, I feel that he's always wanted to work on something like this. And the key thing after that is just really getting to know NetherRealm Studios and the people involved in Warner Brothers and getting them to really trust that we're going to do an accurate and solid job on representing this uh, famous and very world famous franchise, and being able to sort of work closely with them on this product and go in to NetherRealm and actually talk with them and interview them was kind of a magical and amazing experience for me, at least. I'll let Dan sort of talk about his thoughts and observations about the initial parts of this product, but it was kind of magical for me.
Yeah, it was definitely a dream project for me on a personal level, because back in the 90s I wanted to write the book of the making of the first 3 arcade games while they were working on the 4th. And I contacted Midway about it and they were interested, but I kind of chickened out. Like, I didn't know how to write a book and I didn't know what to send them and how to structure anything. So I kind of let that opportunity slip away. But here I am 30 years later with the opportunity to tell that same story, but in a much more robust way. With, everybody now knows how important their own work was, so they have a different perspective on it. It's very gratifying to be able to go back to people that I had interviewed when I was in the press, Ed Boon and John Tobias and John Vogel, and Sal DeVita and Kerry Hoskins, and be able to be like, "Hi, it's me again," But we had all new conversations with a different perspective, and of course, we did. Frosty and I went out to Chicago in March. A great time to visit Chicago, I might add. To do in-person interviews at NetherRealm Studios. They were very kind to us, opened their doors, let us shoot in their studio. We also shot at Galloping Ghost Arcade in Illinois, just outside of Chicago. Doc Mack just contacted him. We knew each other online only, and I just said, "I'm working on this special project. Could we come in and shoot in your arcade that has 1,000 working games in it?" And he's like, "Sure," because he's a huge Mortal Kombat fan, has been very personally inspired by the franchise as well. So, it was a great opportunity. It was wonderful to, in some ways, see old friends. But there was also an unbelievable amount of work, because we're like, okay, now we have to summarize these games that kind of changed how people saw video games in general, right? Like, hey, Mario, oh, that's cute. Okay. Oh, Pong. Oh, Pac-Man. Yeah, I picked that up in Toys R Us. Now all of a sudden people see this game with realistic actors, in martial arts costumes, and gloopy blood, being played to the extremes. And they have to reconsider, wait, what is a video game even? And so that became part of the story that we needed to tell too. So yeah, the interactive documentary goes through not only the making of the games, but the societal impact of the games, and we get to meet some of the creators and find out what made them tick, and what made them be, how they captured lightning in a bottle. So yeah, that was my primary focus, was trying to tell the narrative of how Mortal Kombat came to be, and what its impact was. And again, we know people are like, but I played Mortal Kombat 3 on SNES with my brother all summer, when that came out. So that's going to be what is probably the primary reason that people are interested in this collection. But hopefully, when their thumbs hurt and they need a break, if they wander over into the Crypt section, which is where all the Digital Eclipse bonus content is, they're going to really find that the story is far deeper and more interesting than they may have originally thought. That's my hope, anyway.
Yeah, and here you can see one of the behind the scenes videos. You saw a glimpse of Mike Boone as well, who we were lucky enough to convince to get on film because he doesn't normally do a lot of the stuff. He's normally more of a private guy that sits in his office working on the engine tech and things like that. But I want to call out Mike Boone because he was pivotal in getting us source code for these games, and also getting us the EEPROM dumps from the arcade version of the WaveNet game, and which we didn't know they even had still. We didn't even know they had a board still. So I have to always send out thanks to Mike Boone and for his work. And I think the biggest thing, and I'll jump back to this from the standpoint that, like, when Atari 50 came out, people could sort of see how this presentation might be. And I think that was really helpful as well for folks like Mike and Ed Boone and folks at NetherRealm, so that they can see what we want to portray and the types of assets that we want and need that can tell this story. And once they understood that, a light bulb kind of went off in their heads, and they're like, oh, and then you might want this and you might want this. Whereas originally the thing with people who are working on these properties day in and day out, they don't necessarily think that anything's really important because they're exposed to it all the time, right? So they think, oh, a notebook with a sketch on it, that's nothing. No one wants that. And we're like, yeah, we do want that. So I think when you sit down, you explain and you show them something like Atari 50, it really helps them to wrap their head around, like, oh, almost everything is really interesting and useful and can help tell the story. And Mike was a classic case of that. When we sat down and really talked to Mike about our project and what we've done in the past and things like that, he really started to understand that he had a lot of stuff that he could share with us that was very useful and very interesting. And he would keep running out to us and, like, what about this? I've got this notepad with this information. And we're like, yes, this is awesome. So sometimes the greatest challenge is just getting people to understand that anything can be important, anything can help tell the story. And once people get that, the floodgates generally open and we get things that are really useful and very informative, and oftentimes things that aren't seen by people or have never been seen by people in a long time, right?
One of my favorite examples of that, if I can just chime in, is that John Vogel brought a camcorder to the arcade trade show where Mortal Kombat 3 made its industry debut. And he shot maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours of footage. We edited that down to 12 minutes, but that 12 minutes is gold because it has the performers doing a stunt show. It has Ed and John personally demoing the game in suits and ties for distributors and arcade. It's just stuff that you would never get to see otherwise. But John was the fly on the wall. John Vogel, as one of the artists and writers on the team, being able to incorporate that stuff lets you see history from a completely different perspective. So it's not just the making of, but like I said, you get to see more of the personalities and you get to know the people and what drove them to make this game. And when you can see the game in the reflection of the people that made it, and you see what was important to them and what their personalities are like in the 90s, then some of their gameplay choices and the creative choices hit differently. And it's fascinating, and loved being able to have oh, well, I've got a box full of photos. When we were in Chicago, Carrie Hoskins, who plays Sonya Blade, she said, I've literally got a box here. Can you come over to my house? And I'm like, no, I have to get on a plane. So we did it remotely, but she took pictures of everything that she had. And I said, I need that. I need that. I need that. Could we use that? And then, I had to follow up with so you're going to see things like literally from Carrie Hoskins' closet that have never been seen before.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And you just saw, like, Dan Forden, who's the audio guy original on the original 4, who made the first Mortal Kombat, who retired some weeks back. So we were glad that we were able to get him involved in this product before he, shuffled off and enjoyed the rest of his life. But it was kind of amazing to see that 3 of the original 4 were still at NetherRealm Studios. And so, like I said, I hinted at this early as far as the magical moment, but I remember standing there talking to Ed, and then John Tobias, who we flew in, walked into the studio, and seeing those two together, who I hadn't seen together in decades, right, was really a magical moment. And then being able to bring in Vogel that you see here, and Dan Forden later for discussions about audio and his inspirations for the soundtrack and music for Mortal Kombat was just an amazing experience to get all 4 of that original team together, and just have them reminisce about the good old days, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Stephen Johnson, I got a question for you coming into this project. I don't know where, I think your background, because we talked about it a little bit, like you are you're from like the fighting game community, right? Like you are like deep in fighting game lore, I guess, or culture. So I guess,
Sure.
correct me if I'm wrong. Go ahead, fill me in on that, because my question that I'm leading to is more like, how much of this narrative and stuff that was being developed did you know? I guess.
Um. So yes, I've been around fighting games. I've been competing for probably over 20, probably like 23 years or so. Um, but I mean, realistically, I grew up as an arcade rat. My dad would always take me to arcades, and so especially through this area, I was playing anything that you can get your hands on, and then would sneak out during summer to from my grandma's house to go to 7-Eleven nearby to play Mortal Kombat 2 with like my sheets of paper and everything. And so realistically, the thing that I think has been interesting staying attached to fighting games is you start seeing like all these different places that people come from, right? Um, Everybody has their own story about where they line up with the franchise and when they enter in the zeitgeist, and then you see where they're kind of going. And one of the big things that was really interesting to this project when I joined Digital Eclipse was this idea that we aren't just reaching out to people that love the arcade version, because like I would talk to people from different countries, different areas, and it's like we didn't have an arcade. My version of this was the Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat, and you can say that objectively that's not as good of a game for various reasons, but man, people loved all of these things. And I look back through my history, I talk to people, I understand kind of where they come from with Mortal Kombat, and then I saw this big vision of like what a broad product this could be and how many people it could touch. um, we had this whole discussion about trilogy bringing on, because at that point we hadn't had like a PlayStation emulation solution. And I'm like, man, if you're going to say anything, that is my Mortal Kombat. And I can look around, I can see like this is a lot of people's Mortal Kombat. And like just making that case was like, well, yeah, we should go try to do that then if it's going to have like an impact on a lot of people. And it's like the thing that we're going around showing people, and you just see their eyes light up when they come across trilogy. And like, I never thought I would have seen this game ever again, and now it's coming out in a way that we can play. And so if anything, my approach is more like, man, I just wanted as many people to have this nostalgia bomb when they look at our project and like put them back where they were when they were playing this game and falling in love with it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's good stuff.
Yeah,
I love
Steve.
like going
Steve has
through 'em.
been
Yeah, go ahead.
our sort of our lightning rod in a lot of cases when we're trying to find that nice balance between the casual audience and the hardcore audience, and what's the best bang for buck. Like, where do we spend our time and resources? What features really kind of make sense to include in this? And he really helped to contribute to a lot of that decision making as well, just to make sure that the whole product is fully fleshed out, but that we're trying to balance out the needs of the different groups, right?
Yeah. Like I feel like the trap when you say like you're from fighting games is like, oh, you're there for like all the hardcore stuff. And for
Oh
me,
no, I didn't even mean it
yeah.
like
Oh
that. I
no,
just meant
just in
like,
general,
yeah,
like
yeah.
people talking about it. And for me, I'm like, dude, like I don't consider myself amazing at any of these Mortal Kombat games. I put in a lot of practice over the last year to get pretty decent at them. But the ones I was good at. But I'm finding so much more joy going back to these games that I was like a child and had no idea of like what a combo is. And um, it's very fun to go back and revisit these things from that perspective where it's like, I don't really care if I was good. Like when you opened up the podcast, you're like, look at everybody. I don't know if it's showing, but I'm not great at these games. And I was that kid when I was there. So I have a lot of joy going back and just watching people kind of go back through the learning moments and like, oh man, I wasn't as good as I remember to be, but I'm still having fun. Like that is actually the audience that I love watching play this game.
That's awesome. Do you have a personal favorite of the collection? I'm sure you do. Or are they all
Oh,
your
I mean,
and
it's
why
hard
is
for
it
me.
Special Forces?
That's
Dude,
everyone.
if you
Isn't that everyone's favorite?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
no irony whatsoever, like I was like the biggest advocate for special forces in the office,
Oh
and
yeah. All right, I'm gonna jump into it.
it's
I've never
it's
played it.
I had to when we were doing research for these things because we were trying to see like which if these games should be brought into the package, if like what do we need to do to kind of dress them up for modern day audiences. and I did mythologies, and after that my brain was fried. Like I played it on original hardware, no rewind. It was one of the worst experiences. I kind of stood up, I went downstairs to Dan, I'm like, I hope that I never have to do that ever again. And I did it like 2 more times before we
Oh
got it
god.
on.
How
And
long is
but
that actual game? Like
oh,
that's the
I mean,
question.
if you're counting deaths, that could take you days. It
No,
took
I
me
mean if you
days
didn't
to do
die,
it.
like if you didn't die,
Oh,
how long would it
it's
take?
less than like maybe an hour. Like it's really short, but I was trying to do it with no cheat codes, no anything. The 3 lives continue, you start back from the beginning, no save points. Oh, that's tough. The thing with special forces is that you can kind of see the gears turning to where they got with on their later single player games, like where they are necessarily throwing away like Mortal Kombat conventions, but they're trying to explore like the ranges of stuff. And there is actual game design in here, as opposed to like mythologies where it was like we are trying to bring the arcade experience to a single player world. And so, is it perfect by any stretch of the imagination? No, but like special forces is like not as bad as people make it out to be, but I'm not going to tell people how to feel about it. I
And you
enjoyed
have
my
the
time with
You
special
will like.
forces.
You will take this and you will like it.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard for me to not say like my favorite game in this isn't Trilogy, especially when you look at like how feature rich that we made it. Because it is like the most expansive. It is the everything Mortal Kombat game, and so for me as a person that really likes the whole casual appeal of stuff, if it's the most Mortal Kombat, then that is the best Mortal Kombat game. But the thing that really surprised me the most in this package is how good Mortal Kombat 2 for Game Boy is. That
Oh,
game
yeah?
Oh
is
yeah, that's a
borderline amazing.
technological marvel. I bow down to that development team because the stark difference between MK1 on Game Boy and MK2 on Game Boy is amazing. It's like a staggering improvement in everything and how it plays, the look, the quality of the sprites, and everything in this game. It's a totally legit. Like, look at this. This like is really good for Game Boy,
Yeah.
and the frame rate that it's running at, and how responsive it is, and the ability to do moves and finishers is exponentially better.
All right, gotta do the thing. There we go. I love that.
But speaking of MK2, it broadly, I always like to bring this up because oftentimes people ask, Steven, what's your favorite Mortal Kombat game? And it's always goes back to MK2, and the pure reason for this, and this will reveal my age a little bit, is that when I was going to the University of Oregon, we had this arcade there, and for some reason, even though it was in Oregon, it was an arcade that oftentimes would get stuff early, and I don't know why it did. But I remember, and there was a good fighting game community there, and we would sneak out of class to go play Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat 1, etc. But I remember the day that I got word, and I remember I was in a class, and a guy just runs into the room. It's one of those big auditoriums, right? Runs into the room, and he goes, "MK2 is here!" And then he just left, and then he just ran. And then I was like, what? And then several people got up and left the room, and we like raced to the EMU, the arcade area, and there was already a small crowd of people playing MK2 because it was the first time that I was there, the first day that I was there. And so I put my quarter on the glass, right, the old classic trope, and I waited in line. And I didn't know what to expect. But there were some people with notepads and stuff. They were writing stuff down, right? People have to remember this was like the internet, right? Like early days of internet, and getting information across to people as far as fatalities and stuff, especially for new arcade games, was very difficult, and it was limited. So people were writing stuff down and trying to share information and things. And I, after a while, half an hour or something, I got up to the game, and the guy who was there had won like maybe 5 in a row or something like that. And so it was my first time playing it. I just chose Liu Kang as a safe character, and I started playing it. And for some miracle reason, I thought, oh, I actually might win this. And so I yelled out, someone give me a Liu Kang fatality. And then I managed to beat him. And at that same time, someone yells like, down forward, back, high kick, right? And I'm like, okay. And I did it, and it actually worked.
Oh my god!
So it was
It's
the
like
first
a
time.
magical
Yeah,
moment.
it was the first time playing MK2. I actually won my first match, and someone yelled out fatality. And I was actually able to do it, and so because of that trifecta, it's ever ingrained in my brain as like my happy moment for MK, and so that's why I always go back and just have a fondness for that particular game.
When Steven tells that story, I have now built it as a cinematic thing where, it's in slow-mo and somebody shouts it out
Yeah.
and you see the look of realization. I know what to do, and then we see his hands move on the joystick in slow motion while this emotional movement.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a beautiful moment. Like,
Yeah.
I
It was a
honestly-
surreal moment, but you can understand why that's so ingrained because the odds of
course.
that stuff happening all at once is like staggering, right? For the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
to
I'm
have this total hero moment.
I'm surprised you didn't look over and there's some guy with like a power glove. It's like so smooth.
Yeah, no, right? Or somebody says, "Who are you?" Right? I can say Batman, right? And,
No, they carry you out of the arcade like
Yeah.
a Rudy
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking more like.
Yeah.
That's
It's
really
like
cool.
the janitor who was your mentor all along, and he's
Right.
like, "That boy did good,"
Yeah, yeah. But then, of course,
You
the
didn't
sad
ask-
part of that story is that the next match I lost. I chose someone else. I should have stuck with Liu Kang, but
We talk about that fatality that just happened.
Yeah.
Did everybody just watch that? That was
Yes.
That was something.
Yes,
That
you're,
was-
you're
that was
good
something,
at doing
huh?
the fatalities.
Yeah, they,
This game has some very interesting fatalities for sure, but can you do me a favor since you're on Mortal Kombat 4?
yeah.
We are Mortal Kombat 4 has been like a journey in itself, and we had to do a lot of things to get this up and running on a lot of things. The way that you're playing right now is like very reminiscent of like what the resolution would be on an arcade machine, but because we're not playing on a CRT, it feels kind of dated. If you were to go into the game options and go to additional settings, is that because we were able to 3D accelerate this game, we are actually able to get a lot more fidelity out of the graphics. And because resolution was what it was, and it had to zoom in on all these different things, like the textures behind there are actually really detailed. And so if you up the rendering scale, we are actually able to get the game to display at a higher resolution and show all the nuances of those textures and how it looks. And you get to see it is like a stepped up advancement from like what you were just playing.
yeah, this is pretty amazing. And I think anyone who sees this, especially in comparison for the first time, is blown away by how much better it looks.
Yeah, there was like very early on when we were showing this game, they're like, "Oh man, is this how this game looked?" And like, yeah, it kind of was how it looked.
Yeah.
And it's tough because like as one of the first 3D games, especially a 3D arcade game in the fighting genre, like yeah, it had to make a lot of choices in terms of like what they could do. But like realistically, I think that this is a game that was pretty ahead of its time. But man, like it needed to look way ahead of its time, and I think we've done a good job of sort of bringing that in, and everybody's been very happy with how it performs as well.
I have a real soft spot for this game. I was in the press and I did a lot of coverage on this game when it was new. So I was at GamePro magazine and we had an MK4 cabinet. So I spent a lot of hours on, in free play because I had that luxury and I was doing a lot of, a lot of the coverage. So when this came online, and like as Steven said, it's a journey unto itself. The technical challenges are significant to making it play and look and getting all the lighting right, and all of that thing. Is a custom 3D chip behind this, so it's not something that most people have the knowledge of. As soon as I turned on, like just at 1x with the CRT filter, I was like, holy cow, this looks like the cabinet that I had at GamePro. Like I remember this. And then when I turned on the upscale and there was no delay in speed, I turned off the CRT filter and I was like, I feel like I'm playing, like a more modern, like, we've seen games that are doing like, I'm going to do 90s gameplay and 90s visual, but in a modern engine. It felt like that to me. I was like, oh my God, this looks much more crisp and modern the way that you would expect a retro 90s 3D fighting game to be if it were made in the 2020s. So this was a trick that I did not expect. This was not known at Gamescom, so I went to Gamescom to Germany with you and talked to everybody all about this, and I had no idea this was in our back pocket because this was a development that happened that late in the cycle. So every last second that the team has had to find interesting and valuable improvements has been taken, and this is a really good example of like, just give us a little bit more time. I know everybody wants to play this game, but we're cooking. Let us cook.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome.
But I have a soft spot for it. My favorite game is Mortal Kombat 2. You didn't ask me, but that's fine. I'll be offended forever. But Mortal Kombat 4 is kind of my soft spot because I had a lot of fun with it. It is a
Well,
transitional
Dan, I'm
game.
sorry, we just ran out of time. I don't know
Oh,
what to
that's
tell you.
It is an interesting
It's a
time because
transitional game
yeah.
from the 3D era to the home 3D era. And so it is a little bit of a historical curiosity. But if you are just approaching for a fun game, I have a lot of fun with Mortal Kombat 4
Yeah.
for
And
all
it's
of
one of those
its
cases where
technical issues.
a lot of people didn't get a chance to play it because it was sort of on that period of decline of arcades. You know, it was a transition in 3D. Uh, Consoles were starting to get into 3D, and um, you know, people were starting to start, you know, stop going to arcades and spend more time at home playing console games
This
and
is
PC games. So
1997, so the PlayStation had come out 2 years before in
right,
America. So we're already like Battle Arena Toshinden and Tekken 3 and all these other 3D fighting games, and Mortal Kombat found itself, well, gee, there's no choice. We have to go 3D because that's the way our genre is going. That's the way the industry is going. So it really is a challenging time for that development team to how do we take what worked in the past but bring it into the future. And of course, this led to now that we're making games for the home, we can tailor things like Deadly Alliance and the next generation of Mortal Kombat games. So I think this is a really important missing link. And as Steven said, a lot of people simply they weren't going to the arcades, or their arcade didn't have one when this came out. So this is a big deal to me.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So I want to kind of wind down the discussion on this and just try to understand, like, we're recording this the day the game came out, and what's next, I suppose. Like,
well,
what is the work done?
the work
Is
is
the
never
work ever
done.
done?
As
Yeah,
you know,
the work is unfortunately never
Leading
done.
question, perhaps?
We still have a lot of stuff in the works for this collection, and we want to make sure that, as I was stating earlier, that we find this fine balance between the needs and wants of the casual audience, especially those people who maybe just played it back in the day and kind of left Mortal Kombat for a bit and now are coming back, as well as more of the dedicated hardcore fans who have been, playing Mortal Kombat all these years and continue to do so. So some of the bigger things that we are working on right now, obviously, bug improvements and fixes and polished elements that we're continuing to do. But some of the big stuff that we are working on for an update that should hopefully go out in the coming weeks after launch are the online arcade is the main one. And there's been a lot of interest and want for lobbies for this game, as far as people coming together and being able to play with their friends or other folks within a room. And so we're going to deliver on that. So the online arcade is basically a lobby, but it allows for hopefully up to 16 folks to come together in a room, and you can kind of view it as an arcade in the real world, where you could walk into an arcade with 15 of your friends, and you see all of these arcade games for Mortal Kombat and home versions out there, right, that you can choose and play. And so what's great about that is that you can have 16 people in a room, but a certain number of people could go off and play MK2, while another group of people can go play MK3 Super Nintendo, and another group could be playing MK4 arcade, but all together in a singular room. And each of those individual games are treated as a round robin King of the Hill sort of scenario, where the winner stays and the loser leaves, right? And you rotate. Um, and so it's kind of this nice party sort of situation where people can come together and just have fun, enjoy different versions of the game. And we approach this from the standpoint that when we released Street Fighter 30th, I think, what is it, 8 years ago now, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, seems like an eternity. There was a feature in that lobby that people really liked, where you could choose what games you wanted to play in that lobby. And then when two people were were coming up to fight each other, they could choose which game they wanted to play, right? So people like the flexibility of being able to choose whatever game they wanted to play within a lobby versus just creating a lobby for one game. And so we like that idea. Modern Mortal Kombat has this whole idea of rooms and having a large number of people come together and play a game. But they do it obviously for one game. They do it for their most modern title, in the case Mortal Kombat 1. So it's just before Mortal Kombat 1. And we thought, well, what if we could combine those and allow a large number of people to come together, but also be able to play different games within that lobby and switch between them easily? So that's what we're trying to deliver on in relation to the online arcade. We're going to support private and public lobbies. So if you just want to hang out with your friends in a lobby and make it private and invite them, you can do that. We're also supporting spectate mode. So when you go into a game, you automatically start spectating so you can watch the matches. But what's neat about spectate mode is that you can turn it on and you won't be added to the queue. You can just continuously watch the games as they're being played. So from a tournament or mini competition sort of scenario, it's kind of cool because you can have one screen just watching the matches and someone commentating on that if they want to, right? You don't have to keep leaving the queue and exiting and coming back to the queue. You can just watch the matches back to back to back and comment on them if you want or stream them if you want. So we really thought carefully about how we want to do this. This is the most ambitious sort of lobby online feature that we've ever done it at Digital Eclipse, and it's taking a little while longer than we expected, but we're hoping to wrap it up and get it tested fully and get the approvals that we need and get it out there starting in the next 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully. Dependent on internal approvals and obviously first-party approvals because they vary between timeframes as well. The other big addition that we're working on is a Chronicles of the Realm lore kind of section that Dan has been working on for a while. Dan, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we got to call out Scott Bishop as the person that wrote this. I'm happy to say that we've worked with members of the Mortal Kombat community during development to make sure we're getting details right. And one of those people is a lore expert. His name is Scott Bishop. He has been around for years. He's helped build some of the original Mortal Kombat sites. So when it came time to exploring the history, that people keep coming back to Mortal Kombat because they like the rivalry between Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and they know that Kano has beef with Sonya, and those sort of like storytelling elements that came out really became very sticky, and people fell in love with the franchise, I think, in part because of that. So we wanted to honor that. We have a guide to all the combatants in the game right now. So if you have a favorite character, or you want to know what the entire history of Smoke or Jax is, you can go through and see what they were doing in every game, see their alternate histories. Like what if they had won the tournament? The non-canon endings were always available in the arcade. But one of the additional things we wanted to do was tell the story of the realms themselves, like this whole giant, supernatural martial arts tournament and the history of the arcade era. So Scott wrote what we're calling the Chronicles of the Realms, where he basically creates like a storybook. Like if a monk in one of the Shaolin monk temples sat down and wanted to tell you the story of Mortal Kombat, this would be that fireside chat. This would be that sort of like scroll that was pulled out to explain the history of the in-universe conflicts and what happened during the first Mortal Kombat tournament, and then what happened when they went to Outworld, and then what happened when Outworld invaded Earth. So that's going to be fun for fans that that enjoy the lore. And we've used a lot of developmental art, some comic book art, some renders, some John Tobias illustrations, some concept art to illustrate that into a fun little sort of. It's very much like a timeline where you go through and you read the story of Mortal Kombat.
And so that'll be coming in the next update as well. And that's a free edition that we wanted to add to the crypt section. So there's still a lot of content coming in relation to this collection, and we'll continue to evaluate and look at consumer feedback and their desires and wants, and we'll continue to evaluate what we can continue to refine and add to this collection. Here is the combatants section. This is what Dan was talking about, where you can actually switch between the different Mortal Kombats and then go in and get a little bit of a bio about them, but also go in and see their endings, per the games that they were in. If you select one of them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course
Straight
he's
to
choosing Striker.
Huh?
Yeah, you got this thing for
Obviously,
Striker.
the best, everybody's favorite character, Striker.
Yeah.
We know it.
Obviously, a character like Raiden has a longer history because Raiden appears in the prequel and mythologies and stuff like that. He's nowhere near as cool as Striker. But we also had some challenges. Like there are two characters who have both used the name Sub-Zero in the lore. Sometimes it gets a little twisty. So how do you explain, that the original Sub-Zero has become this shadowy ninja named Noob Saibot, and who is this new person that takes over as Sub-Zero the second, as it were? So this helps fans sort of deconstruct a lot of that stuff. And when we can, we show their endings for the games. We show bios that would have appeared in the attract mode if nobody was playing the game. The game just cycles and puts new screens up. So all of that stuff is now available at a glance for anybody that wants to know.
There's everyone's favorite, Meat. Meat is truly
Yes.
everyone's
True.
favorite.
Yeah, Meat's a classic. And Jarek, of course.
And actually, I forgot to mention while you're playing Sub-Zero, MK Mythologies, there is, a lot of people bring up the fact that there is a button that you have to hit to switch sides. It was their attempt to kind of, retain
was
the
crazy.
2D gameplay of the fighting games and translate it into this action platformer. We've actually tried to improve that a bit. There is an option for modern controls in MK Mythologies where you can use the right stick on your controller, and as you would normally expect, if you move to the right or move to the left with that stick, Sub-Zero will turn left and right. There isn't a need to necessarily use or tap a button anymore, and we hopefully feel that that will make the game play a little bit more like modern games, and make people's ability to respond to fights as far as people on the left and right of them be a little bit easier. So hopefully those are some of the quality of life improvements that we'd like to add to these products, where hopefully it will encourage people who didn't play it or had a hard time playing it before to try it again and enjoy the whole experience.
Cool.
All right. Cool.
The
I'm
whole
gonna
experience?
try that. I'm gonna try that real quick. I'm gonna try that real quick and see if it makes it better. Give me 1 second. I'm just loading right now into the game.
So you got to go up to the
give it a
options.
shot.
It's in the pause menu options, and then there's a modern
All right.
controls. I think it's. Oh, you know what? I apologize. It might be in the before you boot up
Yeah,
in the
you gotta
game. It's
exit
an
out to the
option
main
before you
menu.
boot up in the game. So quit out of this.
I mean, look, it was all going to lead up to a gag and me saying,
Oh.
"Nope, still bad," and that was that. So I'm going to
Fair
stop.
enough.
I'm going to stop the gameplay here, and yeah, we're going to transition to the other things. But I will say, Frosty, that was a really great explanation of everything that's coming. I think it's super exciting, and I really need to emphasize, if you, and I have to apologize if you are watching this on YouTube, you will probably be greatly distracted by me playing. So listen to all that outside of the video format, and you'll get all the information you want to go, because I was kind of switching my eyes between watching the game, looking at Steven Johnson, and him just we were having a different conversation in silence.
Yeah, we like to
while
stare at Steven
Frosty was
Johnson too.
giving all the
I'm going to
facts.
change my answer to favorite Mortal Kombat. It's watching you play Mythology.
Yeah.
That is
There
my
we
favorite
go.
Mortal Kombat.
There we go.
Very good, very good. All right, guys. Well, thank you. I've held you long enough, and I can't thank you enough for joining me for this to talk about this game. It's awesome. I mean, the reviews are critical. They're well deserved. A lot of hard work and love and passion, and it's so obvious in every corner of the game. So, congratulations on the release.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your
Thank you for all
kind
the
words
hard work.
again.
So,
thanks for having us on. It's always a pleasure to be on the Atari podcast. Please subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
do
and
that
we
thing.
look forward to hearing your next guests in your next podcast.
Oh yeah, look at you pandering, Frosty. You already won the game, so you get to plug yourself. Is there? I forgot. You don't have
It's a
plugs, right?
sad
You're just like, I'm
victory.
out there. I'm on the streets. How do you want people to find you on the internet, if at all?
I guess my main thing is on X still, or Blue Sky. You can find me at Frostman007. I'm pretty much Frostman007 everywhere from my early age fandom of James Bond. So
Yeah, we should just do a podcast about James Bond. You in?
oh yeah, we could do that. That's true.
Sounds like Dan's in too with that look.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said James Pond, the old EA fish
no.
game.
Dan, second place. Plug yourself.
I mean, obviously, I want to plug the studio, which is at Digital Eclipse or at Digital Eclipse Studios on various social medias. But on a personal level, if you like something really nerdy, I am in an in-universe Star Wars cantina band. Like, what if you went to a cantina?
Impressive.
You would see my band playing. We're the Kyberpunks, and we're at the Kyberpunks everywhere, and we're thekyberpunks.com. Our music is free and streaming, and please enjoy.
I did try. Well, I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago. I forgot when it was, when you posted a video and I reposted it and tagged Respawn, hoping that they could try to get you in the next Star Wars game, because I think your band would be great performing in a cantina.
I would love that, but we're not expecting that.
Hey, everybody who's watching this on YouTube, tell EA and Respawn to hit up this man for a bit of a little.
We write original songs in Huttese, so there you go.
It's on. I don't even. We're going to leave that there. All right, Steven Johnson.
I I have socials, but nothing that I really want to get out there just yet. Just really go out there, enjoy the game, and pay attention to anything that's coming through Digital Eclipse. We're going to try to get as much as we can out to you guys in terms of information on when things are going to drop. And I'm really excited to just like keep on supporting this game. Hopefully everybody is enjoying it, and we will try to make it even better than it currently is over the next few months. So
Amazing. Love it. Thanks again, guys, for joining me. You can find me at Jays of Doom on Blue Sky. The Twitter/X account is gone. It's gone. It's been hacked. And then they banned it. And I said, fair enough. I haven't been on in 9 months anyway. So there you go. It's gone.
Oh, wow.
Forever.
Interesting.
Shot into the sun. Professional, whatever presence there. Be damned. Blue Sky. Find me there. Or comment in the YouTube video. I read all those as well. And thank you for listening. Remember all those links below to all these guys' handles, the podcast reviews, do those things, Discord, etc., etc.
Subscribe and review the Atari podcast.
Yeah, do all those things. Be a fan like Stephen Frost.
I am.
yeah,
I'm
Can I
probably
say-
your fourth or fifth best fan.
can I say,
Probably-
Jason?
Yeah.
I had no idea how this was going to go.
Great.
Our relationship started off in a very weird spot where I couldn't tell if you were just going to come in with all these bits, and I had to like suss out all the Jason like double talk, and I'm like trying to dissect stuff. Hey, you're pretty good at this. This
thank
this
you.
was a joy.
Great. I appreciate it. And you know what? You are a joy. And all you listeners, you are a joy. And we're going to end this with some absurd amount of positivity. So thank you for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Thanks all.